December 14th, 2010. It's 3:46 a.m. A black motorcycle slows outside the North Valet entrance of the Bellagio. A rider steps off, helmet on, engine still running. He walks through the side doors like any other late-night guest. Inside, the high-limit room is quiet. A few gamblers are still playing. Dealers are in position. Surveillance is watching, but nothing seems unusual. He keeps walking past the blackjack tables, past roulette, until he reaches the craps pit. He doesn't speak. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out a pistol. The dealer freezes. In one motion, he starts sweeping chips into a backpack. $5,000 chips, $25,000 chips. He knows exactly which ones to take. In less than 20 seconds, he was done. Then he turns, walks back the way he came, and exits through the same doors. He gets back on the bike, the tires spin, and just like that, he's gone. Inside, the players are still frozen at the table. Security doesn't know what just happened. The cameras catch every frame, but there's nothing to identify. At first, they assume it's a professional job, someone flown in, quick in and out. But the timeline doesn't add up. The route, the table, the timing, none of it feels random. The man didn't pick the Bellagio by chance. He'd been there before. He knew the routine. He'd walked the same floor for months. The man who just stole $1.5 million was already one of their own customers. He grew up surrounded by status. Anthony Carleo was the son of a well-known Las Vegas judge. Private school, nice car, big house. From the outside, he looked like a kid who had every opportunity. But the truth was quieter. He didn't have direction. He didn't have a plan. And when the pressure came, he cracked. By his early 20s, Carleo had already burned through a list of ideas that went nowhere. DJ gigs, a limo business, drug deals. Nothing stuck. Nothing worked. The only thing consistent was the debt. Then came the car crash. He got hooked on the pills they gave him, OxyContin, and from there, everything else followed. The drugs, the gambling, the losses, the lies. In 2008, the financial crash hit. By then, Carleo was buried in credit cards, moving from one scheme to the next. He filed for bankruptcy, but that didn't slow him down. He still had friends, he still had charm, and he still believed he could flip his luck. His parents, separated but still trying to help, gave him one last chance. They agreed to support him if he went back to school, this time to study medicine. He packed up, drove to Las Vegas, and moved into his father's spare room. It was supposed to be a reset. He pinned a photo of his cousin on the wall, a cousin who had overdosed years earlier. Across the top, he wrote 3 words, "Succeed for me." And for a while, it worked. He showed up to class, met a girl, kept clean. But then came the breaks between semesters, the quiet nights, the temptation that was everywhere. This was Las Vegas. He didn't need to look hard to find a fix. Whether it was blackjack, strippers, or pills, he knew exactly where to go. Within weeks, the $30,000 he brought with him was gone. So was the trust. His father cut off the allowance. Carleo was left alone in a city built to take everything from people like him. He was broke, addicted, and spiraling. But inside the noise, a thought kept coming back. A scene burned into his head from 10 years earlier, watching a stranger hit a miracle run on a craps table. A $5 chip turned into thousands in seconds. That night changed him. It was the first time he saw how fast things could shift in a place like this. Now, he didn't want to win the right way. He just wanted the money. And he started thinking seriously about something he used to joke about: robbing a casino. The idea was simple. He didn't overthink it. He didn't need a crew. He didn't draw maps or rehearse lines. The idea had been in his head for years. Now it just made sense. Carleo knew the Bellagio like a regular. He had lost thousands at its tables, watched every corner of the casino from the eyes of a player. That gave him something most thieves didn't have: familiarity. He knew where the chips were, knew which tables held the big ones, knew how security drifted in and out of focus depending on the hour. And he had something most gamblers lacked: nothing to lose. He started with a test, a small hit. On December 9th, he rode out to the Suncoast, a quiet casino in the suburbs. Nothing flashy, fewer cameras, less noise. He walked in with his helmet still on, no questions asked. At the cashier's cage, he lifted his shirt to show a gun tucked into his waistband. Calm, direct. He told the clerk what to grab and where to put it. It took less than a minute. He turned, walked out, got on his motorcycle, and vanished. He was $19,000 up. No sirens, no chase, no resistance. But that wasn't the payday he was after. That job was a proof of concept. He wanted the real thing, the big one, the Bellagio. This wasn't about vaults or armored trucks. He didn't care about the cashier cages or back rooms. What he wanted was already in plain sight. Stacks of high-denomination chips sitting on high-limit tables. Thousands of dollars exchanged every hand. No guards hovering. Just dealers, gamblers, and the illusion of security. He studied the layout again, where the tables were placed, where security stood, how long it would take to walk in, scoop the chips, and disappear. Every second mattered. If it wasn't quick, it wasn't going to work. He rode his GSXR past the strip at night to rehearse the approach, mapped the entrance, timed the walk, thought about where the cameras were. He didn't overplan. He just needed to move fast enough that no one could respond until it was too late. He chose the early morning hours, when the dealers were tired, gamblers were few, and the high-limit tables were still stocked. 5 days after the Suncoast robbery, Carleo zipped up his jacket, loaded the gun, and got on the bike again. This time, he wasn't testing anything. This was the real hit. December 14th, 2010, 3:46 a.m. A black Suzuki GSXR slows as it approaches the North Valet entrance of the Bellagio. The engine stays on. The rider doesn't speak to anyone, doesn't remove his helmet. He steps off, adjusts his jacket, and leaves the bike exactly where it is, pointed toward Flamingo Road. He enters through the side doors and keeps moving. Cameras don't catch anything unusual. A man dressed in black walking at a steady pace. Not out of place for a casino like this, even at this hour. The hallways are quiet. A few gamblers drift between machines. Security walks the same routes they walk every night. Dealers are stationed at their pits. Nothing suggests that something is about to happen. But Carleo's steps are counted. From entrance to target, he already knows the number, 45. He walks with precision, past the main door, around the roulette tables, into the high-limit room. Ahead of him is the craps pit. It's the same table he visited days earlier, the same one he scouted. There are still players at the felt. One of them is laughing. The dealer is mid-roll. A stack of high-denomination chips rests neatly on the layout. Carleo doesn't hesitate. He reaches into his jacket and pulls a black semi-automatic pistol. He says one word, move. The table goes still. He lunges forward and starts grabbing. He doesn't go for low-value chips. He knows what to take. He's practiced this. The grays, the yellows, the cranberries. Each one with values ranging from $1,000 to $25,000. He dumps them into a black backpack. Doesn't count, just grabs fast. In under 20 seconds, the job is done. He backs away, still holding the weapon low, eyes on the exit. The other tables are watching now, but no one intervenes. No guards rush in, no alarms, just silence. He turns, walks back the way he came. Same path, same 45 steps. Once outside, he jumps back on the bike. The tires spin. He accelerates out of the valet lane and disappears onto the strip. Inside, security is still trying to confirm what happened. They run the footage. A single figure in black, helmet on, backpack full. The man never showed his face, never touched a door handle, never spoke to a single employee. $1.5 million in chips is gone. And the Bellagio, one of the most heavily guarded casinos in Las Vegas, has just been robbed. Carleo, after the robbery, didn't go far. He rides back to his father's house just off the strip and locks the stolen chips in a safe deposit box under his name. The news hasn't broken yet. There's no manhunt or flashing alerts on casino monitors. And for a brief moment, it feels like the plan worked. That same morning, police begin reviewing the footage. The robber left no fingerprints, no visible face, no license plate. The motorcycle didn't even stay long enough to be traced by nearby traffic cameras. To casino security, it looks like a ghost hit them. But Carleo isn't a ghost. He's a regular in the very same building he just robbed. And within 48 hours, he's back at the Bellagio, the same casino he just robbed. Not hiding, not laying low, but gambling. At first, he plays small, blackjack, poker. He rotates the chips, slides in some of the stolen ones with the rest. Every time he wins, he cashes out. A few thousand at a time, no questions asked. Within a week, he's done this multiple times. It works. No one suspects him. He keeps coming back almost daily, gambling more, losing more, cashing out less. But the process continues. To staff, he's just another player burning through money. To Carleo, he's laundering tens of thousands. But there's a limit, not just to how much he can get away with, but to the chips themselves. Because in the middle of the take were the cranberries, the rarest chips in the casino, each worth $25,000. And unlike the lower denominations, those can't just be slipped onto a table unnoticed. Most dealers don't even see them in a normal week. Cashing them draws attention. Carleo knows this, so he tries something different. He logs onto the 2+2 poker forum. Under the username OceanSpray25, he posts cryptic questions about high-value chips. He's not subtle. He asks if anyone's interested in cranberries. He said he's got more than a few. Asks what someone would pay for one that's not clean. Most users ignore him, but one replies. They message back and forth. Carleo sends a photo of a $25,000 chip on his bathroom counter as proof. The buyer offers $10,000 for one. A meeting is set. The man Carleo meets isn't who he says he is. He goes by Dominic, claims he's connected, wears jewelry, talks fast, offers to buy more. They meet at restaurants, exchange chips for cash. It continues for several days. Then, on February 2nd, Carleo walks into the Bellagio one last time. He's carrying 3 cranberries. He heads to the restroom. Inside, Dominic waits. They exchange quietly. Carleo hands over the chips. Dominic slides a small envelope of cash across the sink. Carleo opens it. $30,000. As he turns to leave, Dominic doesn't follow. He steps out of the restroom first. Seconds later, 6 officers rush in. Carleo doesn't have time to move. The helmet, the bike, the backpack, the 2+2 posts, the cash, the chips. It's all connected now. And Dominic, the man he thought was the buyer, was an undercover officer. And like that, the Bellagio bandit is caught. Inside the interrogation room, Carleo barely talks. He doesn't ask for a lawyer, doesn't try to deny it. He knows it's over. The evidence stacks quickly. Surveillance footage, motorcycle records, prescription history, forum messages, undercover recordings. And the biggest piece? 23 $25,000 chips recovered from his girlfriend's closet and a friend's safe. Carleo is booked, charged with multiple felonies, and denied bail. That same day, the media picks up the story. They don't use his real name in the headlines at first. They use the name the Bellagio staff had given him when they didn't know who he was, the biker bandit. But when the arrest report drops, the truth spreads quickly. Tony Carleo, 29 years old, former pharmacy student, son of Las Vegas municipal judge George Assad. A city judge's son had just robbed one of the most secure casinos in the country and then spent weeks gambling the stolen chips inside that same building. Reporters line up outside the courthouse, and when his father finally speaks, he doesn't hold back. As a prosecutor and a judge, I've always believed people who break the law should be held accountable. That includes my son. Tony doesn't contest the charges. There's no high-profile trial, no televised defense. He pleads guilty. The court sentences him to between 3 and 11 years in Nevada State Prison. He ends up at High Desert State Prison, sharing space with men who robbed gas stations, shot dealers, and trafficked meth across the state. The Bellagio tightens its chip security after the case. They disable every remaining cranberry chip with RFID, a tiny radio frequency tag embedded inside each chip that allow the casino to track, verify, or deactivate them instantly. Most of the stolen ones are never used again. They sit in evidence rooms and safety boxes, untouchable, worthless. $1.5 million gone. And Carleo? He spends his time behind bars writing letters, reflecting. In interviews years later, he admits he was broken before the heist even happened. The gambling, the drugs, the debts, they weren't the cause. They were just the routine. He says the robbery wasn't about money. It was about feeling like he still mattered. He was paroled after serving just over 4 years. By then, the case had faded from the news cycle. The casinos had moved on. Carleo walked out with no attention, no press, no plan. He wasn't the man in the helmet anymore. He wasn't a gambler, or a player, or even the Bellagio Bandit. Just another ex-con trying to figure out what comes next. The kind of story Vegas remembers, even when the person behind it wants to forget.